Hi guys, I'm Coach Tasha Delk.
I'm Cleo the coach. What's up?
Yes, and we are here to talk to you guys about 3 ways to become more intimate with your partner. And so before we get into that, we are talking to wives in waiting. We're talking to husbands in waiting. So single people. We are talking to newlyweds as we're newlyweds. And then we're also talking to those who have been married who may need a little bit more advice or who may need some different ways to rekindle things with their husband or their wife.
Right.
So the first thing that we wanted to talk about was dating your spouse. We think that is...
Well, what does intimacy really mean? What does intimacy mean?
Intimacy means closeness. It also means to
Just be
personal.
A close person is what it also. It also stated that.
Well, personal.
We're just listed a close friend, just a close acquaintance, so someone very close to you is intimate. Is an intimate person. So, but I just wanted to give more of context on
what intimacy means.
We're separating intimacy from romance. So we want to be specific that we're talking about intimacy and not being romantic with your partner. So that's what I wanted to just be clear on what we're speaking on. That's
so like closeness, personal, private, together, so intimacy is between, 2 people. Well, I guess you can kind of be intimate with yourself too, because...
No, you could. Yeah. It's close with yourself.
Excuse our background noise. Y'all know we got a lot of kids. So, so the first thing that we want to talk about is dating your spouse. That could be one thing that will allow you both to be able to...
create a better intimate relationship.
Yeah, to have a better intimate relationship. And so dating your spouse is something that my husband and I... something that we really like to do because we like to get dressed up and we like to go out and we like to be with each other, but we also like to spend time with each other. So
making sure that we're making that time.
Absolutely.
Because it could be difficult when you have children, you have careers, you have things going on, but it's important to allocate that time. It's like you allocate that time to going to your son's practice or going to a work meeting. You have to allocate the time to date your spouse. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then outside of that, you want to make sure that you are taking that time to create that time for your partner, just to allow them to know how important they are, that you're making time for them. Because sometimes, like with me being a business owner and I'm where my business may require for me to have to be somewhere within an hour, I got to be able to set a specific time to be available for work, to make sure that I'm not cutting in on the time that I am, that I have specifically set aside for my spouse. Sometimes people are so consumed with their work and things that they really don't realize that they need to create time for their spouse, or they're unaware of how much they are not spending with their spouse. They're unaware of it and they just don't know. It's not that they're doing it purposely. So allocating that time for your spouse makes them know that they're important to you, makes them know that they're a priority to you, because when you think about everything else, it's like your bills, your finances, you have work, you have businesses to run, you have all these things, your children, figuring out what you're going to cook for dinner, all those things. And you have to be able to do those things. So you have to be able to take the time to think and allocate time to date your spouse. And also just being creative with the way that you date your spouse as well is using some creativity behind your dating. My husband, like, he likes intimate settings. So maybe you can kind of...
Like, I would say just rather cooking with candles, just creating a more intimate atmosphere instead of going out to eat and going out to do things. Maybe just create those different types of spaces inside. Another way we can be intimate is maybe instead of going to a regular movie, go to a drive-in movie. So it's more of just you guys and you have more of an intimate setting. You still be able to enjoy some entertainment, but you can do it in more of an intimate setting. So just finding more creative ways so you guys can be intimate together
without it having to be
exactly just a big crowd of people, or Or yeah, just more so, just more personal. Yeah, very. Yeah. So you could be close. You could be close, and not be like romantic. So we're trying to take away the romance side of it, and then it's really just having just that closeness with your partner without having to be sexual or flirty. Just being close, just being able to just have that closeness with your partner more so.
You look close.
Don't stop, shorty. Don't stop.
So the next thing, I know that we kind of went on a little while about that one.
I think you segue into it, just having those conversations about intimacy. So you did speak a little bit, segue into it.
Yeah.
With dating your spouses. The second thing is communicating what does intimacy look like for you and your spouse, being able to have a safe space to let you know what that intimacy looks like for her, vice versa. Yeah. So I feel like that's the next, our next one is having conversations about intimacy. Intimate conversations.
So making sure that you really know what that looks like for your partner. And then also being like open and vulnerable. Like for me, like I'm really strong, but I'm extremely sensitive.
She is.
And so, and it's like sometimes I have to be able to express different things and be vulnerable with my husband. You know, we just kind of have that communication anyways, but it's like some things may be harder to express, like having to leave my salon business, and then finally, like we've been, our life over the past few years have been so fast. So being able to be vulnerable in that moment and really explain to my husband kind of how I had to grieve some things personally and allow him into that space and allow him to be able to feel those emotions and those things that was on my heart, you know, and just being able to, you know, have that safe space. So like intimacy for me is like having that safe space with my husband, being able to speak to him and know that he's listening to me, and knowing that, you know, his response is not going to be a response that I'm going to have to be like, I'm never going to let him into that space again.
Or I'm just listening to respond.
Yeah. So it's like, I know that he's going to be gentle in his response to me. And like that for me is like intimacy. Like I love the way
not to cut you off, sometimes listening doesn't even require a response.
Absolutely.
It's just allowing her to have a safe space to be able just to get whatever she needs mentally off.
Yeah.
And it's this me being able, I hear that, baby. I can see that. I can understand that. And just being a safe space.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And just
I'm sorry,
you know,
I threw you off your last.
For me to be, I don't remember, but
threw it off. I'm sorry.
I think just me being able to be, you know, transparent with him and allowing him to know whatever it is that I'm dealing with, that he may not understand what I'm dealing with, or he may not just know off the bat, because we're really personal in energy, and so we kind of feel each other's energy and we feed off each other's energy. So that's something that we both had to be extremely careful about. So it's like, but being transparent when he doesn't understand what my feelings are or why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, and him also being able to allow me to have that safe space to be able to just, you know, pour that out to him.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think for me that
I need like that really, as well, though. Like I feel like that's a space that I need as well. Not yet.
Then you woke.
Okay.
She woke.
Give us a second. We almost done. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, she's not crying.
Okay. Give us a second. All right.
Okay.
All right.
We love you.
Hold on. Go ahead. Go in Papa room. So what I was pretty much saying is allowing myself to have that space as well is very much needed. I feel like men, we don't really understand how much we need to be vulnerable with our emotions and to be able to have spaces where we're able to speak on how we feel and not feel like we have to keep those in or be stonewalled where we're just not speaking and not even trying to understand what you have going on. And then really, and so how could you expect somebody else to even be a safe space for you when you're not even allowing yourself to feel those emotions. So you really have to be able to check that as men and to be vulnerable, not just for yourself, but for your partner. I feel like that's definitely big. We definitely have to take that more into account as men.
Yeah, and being in tune with your feelings.
No, for sure. I think it's easier for women.
Yeah.
But I feel like men, we don't understand how important that really is, not just for yourself, but for your woman to be able to have an understanding, okay, yeah, when he like this, he's probably feeling this way.
Yeah.
Or when he's kind of just a little standoffish, let me lean a little bit more in.
Yeah.
So just kind of having that understanding. Yeah.
Sometimes people feel like the men's emotions, like, it doesn't really matter, but I like to say, like, an emotion is an emotion. It doesn't have a gender.
No, for sure.
You know, so I like to say, like, sadness, it doesn't have a gender. It doesn't say, oh, only women can be sad. Only men can be sad. Only women can be hurt. Only men can be hurt. Women can be in tune with their feelings and men can't be. So I really feel like we have to be able to, you know, have those safe spaces to be able to be vulnerable and open and close, and to be able to be transparent and vulnerable in that moment, you know, so that because the emotions doesn't have a gender.
No, for sure.
So I do appreciate that. So allowing the men to be more in tune with their feelings is something.
And I don't want to miss the point that men do need to be more careful with how you deal with your emotions.
For sure.
That's a different type of conversation. Women, I feel, have the more leadway to be careless with how they deal with their emotions. But with men, we have to be very conscious and careful about how we allow those emotions to dictate our actions.
That's good.
As leaders. So that's more so I'm speaking into it as a leader. You have to carry yourself in a certain manner. I feel like when women are in a leadership position, they have to carry themselves in a certain manner. There's a certain thing that they have to be aware of. So we have to definitely have that understanding as men, is not to be careless with our emotions, but just to be conscious of them.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll lead us to our last one, which
Number
is
3.
Physical intimacy. My husband is very...
That's my love language.
His love language is...
Got to grab on me, touch on me.
It's touch.
Kiss
and
on
physical,
me.
Physical. Oh, you want to kiss him?
Thanks.
Awesome. But yeah, so my husband's love language is physical touch. And so I have to, you know, so you got to be in tune to know.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
To know, you got to be in tune with your partner to know what it is that really that really sets them off, that really takes them to that next level. But also with physical intimacy isn't always about sex. So we have to be able to differentiate that, because even though I'm a physical touch person, I don't require it as much as he requires it. And even if it's not always sex that he requires. So we have to be able to understand what that physical touch aspect is for our partners and for our mates, because some people, they don't like a lot of physical touch. They really want to be left alone. And, you know, so you got to understand basically what that love language is for your partner. But knowing that physical side is, I think for me, is I love when he walks past and touch me, and just having those.
Smack that.
You fool.
No, for real.
But just having him walking past and touching me, it lets me know that
No, she like when I smack that when I'm right. A few times, you know. It ain't just once a day. It's
just the fact that he acknowledges me and that I'm there, and just him
that's
going
part
past.
of my love language. I'm touchy feely. Like, she might not even like that, but you know, that's how I show my love. I'm coming through. You gotta feel me.
But yeah, so I think also with the physical aspect is just being able to live out some of the desires, the fantasies that your mate has, and just, you know, within that physical intimacy, you know, where sex comes in, where, you know, or because really I don't really know if we just do we even really look at it? I don't know if people look at it different. Intimacy and during intercourse, do they look at it as sex, or how do they look at it?
Because
it's like love making, or
because you can have sex without being intimate.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So I feel like that is a point to hit, that during sex is a way to be intimate as well.
Be intimate during sex.
There's a closeness to have during sex that maybe you aren't having. Maybe that's something you can work on.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like that's definitely a thing, is to make sure that you're being intimate in sex, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed.
And I also want to speak on physical intimacy, not just in the sexual sense, but really doing physical, intimate things with your partner, like spiritual things, as far as praying together, as far as reading together, just meditating, whatever that spiritual connection is. I feel like you guys can do that together as well. That's a way to be closer intimately.
Yeah, like holding hands. Sure. Like if we're sitting together, like on the couch watching a movie or something, maybe me putting my legs on top of him, or him laying his head in my lap, different things like that. There's different ways to be physical and intimate with your partner without having
sex.
Without having sex.
Not to take away from that, there is an intimacy in sex that is very important, for sure.
It is. I mean, intimacy in sex is deeper, you know, and it's deeper, and it's more than just, you know, there's a certain connection there. There's a certain level of, I think, of desire. There's a different level of like passion behind it. So I think that I definitely feel like there is a difference. But I'm just like wondering, like, do people look at it that way? Like, you know, having love and making love during sex. Like if it, you know, just kind of like different, because I feel like that's more love making when you have the intimacy, and
no, for sure,
the passion and the feelings behind it. So
for sure,
that's just kind of my take on like that part.
No, that's accurate in my belief. I feel like that's very accurate.
Those are the 3 things that you can do with intimacy, is making sure that you're dating your spouse, and then also having intimate conversations and understanding what intimacy looks like for your spouse. And then also the third thing is physical intimacy, making sure that you're bringing love to the sex, making sure that you're finding different ways to be able to be intimate with them without sex, you know, holding hands and different things
Cuddling.
Like that. Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like spiritual intimacy is a mixture between the way you conversate and your physical. So the thing that you're doing with one another and the conversation that you're having with one another.
Absolutely. That's good. All right, guys.
Another one.
Coach Tasha Doak.
Cleo the coach.
All right, and we'll see y'all next Monday.